Hello everyone, welcome to another Narc Survivor live video. I'm out here today at this mangrove forest. I can't remember the last time I did a video at a mangrove forest. It was either in Malaysia or Bali. There's a bird flying there. Unusual bird. But yeah, this is it. The mangroves. And as you may remember, the last one, I think it was the last one, it might have been in Bali. Got all of these crabs here. Just like the last time. Just like old times. Remember these crabs? They've just got one large claw. They're here again. This time in the Philippines. Look at that one with a giant claw. There's so many crabs here. There's just so much going on here. To the untrained eye, it just looks like nothing. But when you look closer, you see so much life. This is the mangrove forest. But yeah, that kind of leads me into this video. And we're talking about what makes the narcissist crawl back to you. Because you may be watching this because they just left you. They abandoned you, they forgot about you. Like you didn't even matter, you didn't even mean anything to them. Like they just don't even care about you. First, they may have devalued you, they put you down. They targeted your self-esteem. Made you feel insecure about yourself. Made you feel like there's something wrong with you. So you're not good enough for them. And as though they got something better somewhere else without you. That's what they like to do. Leave you in a pit of misery and despair. Leave you in scarcity. Where it's like you have no other option other than them. You've got nowhere else to go. There's nothing else that you can do other than holding on to them and hoping that they will come back. Because it's like they're your only option. They isolate you. They turn people against you. They leave you in scarcity. But there's nowhere else for you to go. There's nothing else that you can do. And then they pull away from you. After they've devalued you, isolated you. They've ruined everything for you. And then they pull away. After they've already just set everything up so that you're dependent on them. And you've got like no other choice, no other option. And you're just left longing and yearning for them, hoping that they will come back. Hoping that they will be there for you. And just bring life to the situation. Because they robbed that life from you. They drained you of your energy. You were feeling really good before you get involved with them. But that's what they do. They mirror you, they reflect you back to you, they lift you up. And then they pull it all away from you. Leaving you feeling low. And so you're left just wishing that they would come back. Wishing that they would bring back the false character. That they would be who they were before. that they would make you feel good again. But that's just it. They're not going to come back. And they're not going to come back because they already know exactly what they've done to you. They know the condition that they've left you in. They know that you're alone. They know that you're feeling hopeless. They know that you've got no one to talk to, nowhere else to go. Of course they know that because they put you in that situation. They caused all of that to happen. They did it deliberately so that you would be dependent on them. And then, of course, once they've got you dependent on them, then they pull away, or at the very least, they breadcrumb you. But they never give you enough so that you actually feel satisfied, so that you actually feel good about yourself, because they want to keep you insecure. They want to keep you dependent on them so that they can get the supply they want from you. They can get the validation, control, and a sense of superiority, which is what they want from you. And that's why they won't come back, as long as you're holding on to them. As long as you're still isolated, you're still not feeling good about yourself, you've got nowhere else to go. You're just sitting at home every day, lonely. You're not doing anything, you're just constantly thinking about them. You're waiting by the phone, hoping that one day they're going to call. One day they're going to come back after all of the damage they caused to your life. You're hoping that at some point, even though they turned everyone else against you, even though you've got nowhere else to go, you're hoping that's the one thing you've still got is them. Because that's what they usually do, isn't it? They like to destroy everything in your life. And then they want to come back as the rescuer, as this person who's going to save you. As though you just got yourself into something. And now they're going to be there to rescue you because you just messed everything up for yourself. It's how they like to make it seem. But yeah, as long as you're holding on for them, they're never going to come back. That will keep them away. If they see that you're stressed out, you're upset, you're not happy, you want things to change, you want them to come back, you want them to make things better for you after everything they did to you, as long as they know that you're wanting, you're desiring, you're craving something, they're going to be gone. They're not going to come back. They're going to entertain new supply. They're not going to bother coming back to you because they're already getting that validation. They already feel in control. They already feel superior. They don't have to come back to you because they've already got you right where they want you. And that's how typically when a narcissist, if they rob you, if they steal from you, you typically won't see or hear from them for a very long time. Because they know you're going to want to see them. You're going to want them to come back so that you can hold them accountable. So that you can get what's yours. And it's the same thing. When they rob you of your energy, when they isolate you, when they leave you as your only option, and you've got nowhere else to go, then of course they're going to distance themselves from you. They're going to give you the silent treatment. They're going to ghost you. Because they know you've got nowhere else to go. But don't worry. I'm here to shed some light on how you can make the narcissist crawl back to you. So that's what we're going to get into now. But before I do, please give the video a thumbs up. Let's get this message out there. I'm just by this river here with the mangrove forest in the background. You can see all the birds flying. It's just pure nature. Feels good to be out here. I love walking, hiking, as many of you know. I love just being out in the wilderness. All right, let's talk about it. We've talked about why they won't come back, why they've left you alone all by yourself, to where you're just longing and yearning for them. You're waiting by the phone, hoping that they would call, hoping that they would come back, because it's that pathological loneliness. That's what happens. They cause you to become deficient in self-love, where you no longer love yourself like you used to. You no longer feel good about yourself, and they make you rely on them for that. And of course, as long as they know that you want something from them, they're not going to be there for you. Remember, they're on the opposite side of the spectrum. You, as an empath, a codependent, or people pleaser, if the narcissist needs you, if anyone needs you, you will be running there for them. You'll be doing anything you can to help them, because that's just your personality as an empath or codependent, people pleaser. That's what we're like. That's what we do. We genuinely just want to help people. But they're on the opposite side of the spectrum, so they're only there to take from you. And when they leave you in a needy or desperate situation, they're out of there. You're not going to hear from them for a very long time, because they're getting what they want by not being around you, by keeping you needy, by keeping you desperate, by keeping you longing for them, because that's validating them. It's making them feel wanted, desirable. But if they come back, you're not going to want them so much then. There's not going to be that much desire once you've already got them there. Which is normal, you know, that's how it's supposed to be. When you connect with someone, it's not meant to be these extreme spikes, these extreme highs and lows, where you're like desperately longing for someone. And it's like they make you feel insecure, and then they're walking out the door. You never know when they're coming back. And you're begging them not to leave. You're like holding on to their ankles. It's not meant to be like that in a healthy relationship. But that's what they'll do to you. They set up in the situation where you become desperate, because you've got no other options. You've got nowhere else to go. They turn your family and friends against you. They stop you from engaging in your hobbies, your passions, your interests. So all of your focus is constantly on them. They trauma bond you to them. They do something horrible, and then you can't stop thinking about them and what they might do next. It keeps you in a state of fear, which is exactly what they want. They want to keep you so that you're constantly thinking about them. And that's why they leave you in scarcity, so that you will continue to hold on to them. You will continue to supply them, validate them. So, if you want to make the narcissist crawl back to you, this is what you got to do. You've got to shift your energy. You've got to start feeling good about yourself again. Don't depend on them for anything. Don't depend on them to make you feel good. You have to make yourself feel good. And in fact, just watching this video, just learning about this information, processing the emotions, this is all going to make you feel better. Not immediately, but it will in time. And the narcissist will sense that your energy has shifted. And they may then try to come back to you. But if you want to make them crawl back to you, then you got to make it for them how it was for you. You got to leave them feeling like they've got no other option other than to return back to you, as though you're now their best option. You've got to make them feel insecure. So you've got to upgrade yourself and your life. You've got to start feeling better about yourself, making new friends, starting new hobbies, new interests, taking good care of yourself, going to the gym again, working out. You've got to rebuild your confidence. Work hard. Make lots of money, become successful. And yeah, take good care of yourself. Go on vacation. Take a trip somewhere. Put yourself in abundance. That's going to make them feel really insecure, inferior. It's going to make them feel like they're going off in the wrong direction. It's going to make them feel like it's much better for them to be near you. That's how it's going to make them feel. They're not going to feel like they're winning by leaving you. They're going to start to feel regrets. If they see that you've glowed up, you're looking brighter, happier, you've got new things going on in your life, you've got lots of things to look forward to. If they see that, they're going to start to feel very insecure. They're going to feel like they're making the wrong decision. They're going to have that fear of missing out with you. And they're going to come crawling back. They're going to come crawling back to you. Especially if they see on your social media, they see that maybe you started a business, you got a new job, you're making more money now, you're going on trips, you've got a new car, you've got all these new friends, these new connections, you're feeling good about yourself, you're looking good. They're going to come crawling back to you. Because then you don't need them. And that's what they want. They want to be around someone who doesn't need them. They want to be around people who they need. They don't want to be around anyone who needs them. They want to make you needy and dependent on them. But once they've achieved that, then they disappear. Because then they're still getting what they want from you, even while they're not there. As long as they've got you in scarcity, they're not going to care about you. They're not going to want anything from you because everything is scarce for you now. They've already taken everything from you. They've drained you. They've gotten everything that they wanted from you, and now they're out of there. So if you want to make them come crawling back, you have to redevelop things. What you lost, what they took, you've got to get that back. And then they're going to start to feel regrets. They're going to start to feel like they're missing out with you. They're going to feel like an absolute loser by going a different direction from you. Yeah, they feel good, they feel like a winner when they stripped you of everything. When they've taken everything from you, your power, your life force. When they've taken it all from you and then they go, then they feel like they're winning. They're not going to feel so good about themselves if they don't affect you and then they just leave. That's not going to make them feel like they're winning. And that's why a narcissist would never do that. They're not going to leave while you're on top of your game. While you're in abundance, they're not going to leave you then, because they would feel like they're losing by doing that. They would feel regrets. They would feel like they're going into a worse situation. So no narcissist is going to do that. Unless, of course, in some situations, they're very arrogant, very prideful. In those situations, they might if they have to. But even then, they will try and sabotage you in some sort of way. They're not going to want to see you going off with the person that you are, with everything that you have, and then just leaving them behind. Because that's not going to make them feel good about themselves at all. So they leave you once they've taken everything from you. Once they've drained you of your life and energy, of everything that makes you you. Then they leave. And then, once you start to recover, once you start to replenish yourself, your health, your energy, then they want to come back. And especially if you're doing better than you were before. If you're even more successful now, you're even happier, they're going to come crawling back. They're going to come back on their hands and knees. They're going to be how they were at the beginning. They're going to act kind and submissive. They're going to be whatever you want them to be. As long as they think that you still believe in the facade, and as long as they think that you still have something, they're going to be whatever you want them to be. They're going to come crawling back to you. So that's what makes the narcissist come crawling back to you. It's when you rebuild yourself and your life after everything they destroyed, everything they took. Once you come back stronger than before, you're even happier, more successful, brighter, more confident. You've got more things going on now. Yeah, they're going to come crawling back straight away. And they're going to act like they're serious this time. They may apologize for what happened before. Or they'll come back like nothing happened and they'll just want to start off again. But that's just beginning the cycle of abuse all over again. It's not going to get better. They're just going to steal from you, abuse you just as they did before. They never change. And it doesn't matter how much better you're doing now than you were before. It doesn't matter how good things are going for you. They will come back just to ruin it all over again. That's all that's going to happen. And that's why, I mean, I get it, you know, if they devalued you, they made you feel like you're not good enough, and you're doing much better now, you may just want to do what they did to you. You may want to entice them, aggravate them, wind them up, tease them, toy with them. Show them what you've got now. Show them what they're missing. Just to make them crawl back and then just slam the door in their face. You may just want to do that, and I get it. I understand. Because while they had you, they didn't appreciate you. They took you for granted. They didn't deserve you. And they made you feel like you weren't good enough. So of course you may want to treat them that way. Of course you may want to show them what they're missing out on, just to not even share any of it with them. And I get that. But honestly, when you're dealing with a narcissist, that's not a good idea. Because if you entice them, if you wind them up, they're going to chase after you. And they're going to seek vengeance. They're going to want to harm you, and they're not going to feel satisfied until they do harm you in some sort of way. They're not going to stop until they feel like they punished you, until they feel like it's enough. And, you know, when you're dealing with a narcissist, it's never going to be enough. After you've caused that initial narcissistic injury where they wanted something from you and they couldn't get it, or you didn't give it to them, they're never going to develop that internal emotional strength to where they're able to let go of that grudge, they're able to let go of the resentment, because they wanted something from you. And it may have been for a very short time, it may have been for a long time, but they wanted something from you. And it may have been money, it may have been a certain kind of treatment. They wanted something. And if you've held them off, if you rejected them, it causes a narcissistic injury. Which doesn't always mean that they're going to be aggressive or overtly angry immediately. Sometimes they may be more covert, especially if you've really bruised their ego, if you've really affected the quality of their supply. They're not going to be overt about it, because they're going to want to milk that for all it's worth. They're going to be covert, they're going to be passive aggressive, and they're going to hold on to it for the rest of their lives, because they wanted something so badly. They wanted a certain kind of treatment from you. They wanted to have power and control over you, and they didn't get it. Or they had it, but then they lost it. And they're never going to forget that. They're always going to hold on to it. So, yeah, you're really just playing with fire. When you entice a narcissist, when you wind them up, it will really make them angry. Even if they don't show it overtly, they might act like it's just a joke. They might act like they don't care. They're going to hold on to it. And they're going to seek revenge. They're going to try to punish you for that. So be very aware of it. And my advice is to not let them see anything, any toys that they may want, because this is what it is, really. I mean, it goes back to their childhood. They were neglected in childhood. They didn't get the treatment they wanted. And now they see you like a toy. And also everything you have in your life, these are all just toys. They're playthings. They're things that they can use to make themselves feel better. It's like a form of amusement. So they feel like you're like teasing them with the toy that they want from you. And it's just winding them up. It's making them want to destroy you. And this is why you're better off just playing it down. Just acting like you've got nothing going on. Like you can't do anything for them. You're better off just being like that. Because otherwise it's just going to aggravate them. If you don't let them back in again, it's going to make them really angry, and they will try to sabotage you in some way. They're not just going to let you go off with everything that you are, everything that you have. They're not going to let that happen. And even if you do let them come back in, all they're going to do is rob you again. They're going to hurt you and destroy everything just like they did before. So either way, it leads to destruction. Which is why the best thing that you can do, and I know I get it, it's not really satisfying. Because many of you may want that revenge yourself. You may want to make them feel bad. You may want to make them feel like they've lost. Because all of that time, they're feeling like they won over you. They're the ones with the power. So you may want to teach them something. You may want to make them feel like they're the ones who lost. Of course, I get it. That can be the most satisfying result. But it will make them very angry. And they will, in some sort of way, try to get back at you once you've injured them. So it's definitely not something you should do when you're dealing with narcissists. And instead, as I've mentioned before, what I recommend that you do is that you play everything down. You act like you're not that significant. You act humble, modest, show a low estimate of your importance, because then they're more likely just to let you go, to overlook you, to not seek to harm you. So then you get away unscathed. Because they're only going to come after you, whether it's as admiration, envy, wanting to be with you again, or just wanting to get revenge. They're only going to come after you if they see something where it makes them feel like you are above them, as though you're happier or you're doing better, as though you're winning and they're losing. That's going to trigger them to come after you. And sometimes, yeah, they may come crawling back to you. They may come back on their hands and knees, apologizing, everything. But that's initially. And even then, it's fake. It's just manipulation so that they can get back in. They don't feel anything for you. Their feelings are only for themselves. So really, it's not worth it. It may feel satisfying for a moment to know that you're winning now, and they see it, and they feel regret. It may feel good initially, but it's not worth it. You got to think about the future. You got to think about your health, and instead just play it down. Just act like you're not doing anything special. And it should be this way with everyone, not just with the narcissist. If you can, try to avoid wearing too much designer clothes, showing that you have money, buying expensive groceries. All of these kinds of things, people are watching. And I know you may want to show your success, your hard work, I get that. But not everyone's going to be happy for you. And a lot of people are going to envy you. They're going to want to get in with you so that they can take that from you. I got all these ducks and goats here. Even these small goats, look, they're very fast. These are happy goats. But yeah, honestly, in this day and age, it's better to not show off, broadcast your hard work, your accomplishments. And I know many of you may want to do that, and I get it. But it's not a good idea, because there's people out there who want what you've got, especially the narcissist. I mean, that's why they targeted you in the first place, is because they envied you. They secretly kind of admired you, but they wanted to be you. They wanted to have what you have. And yeah, this is why you don't want to showcase this stuff to them, because then they're going to want it for themselves. You've got to be very careful when you're dealing with narcissists. But if you want to make them crawl back to you, that is how you do it. They're going to come crawling back to you if they see if they feel like you're winning, because remember, they have this childish, immature mentality. They have an arrested emotional development. They're children in adult bodies. So for them, it's all about winning, dominating, controlling. Doesn't matter who gets hurt. Doesn't matter what happens. As long as they feel like they've won. As long as they don't have to feel like a loser. As long as they don't have to feel inadequate. Because that's what this is about. It's about them suppressing their shame. And of course, if they see you going off with everything that you are, everything that you have, they see that you're happy, you're successful, you've got everything going on for you, they're going to want to destroy you. They're going to want to kill you for that. Because it makes them feel like losers. You've got to remember, they think the opposite to how we do. I mean, as I mentioned before, I've had some narcissistic exes who really just wanted to destroy me. They did everything they could to hurt me. And despite that, I've let it go. I've healed since then. And I don't wish anything bad for them at this point. And I did see some bad things happen for them. And that didn't make me feel any better. In some ways it did kind of validate what I went through. It kind of confirmed that I was right. But then in some ways I didn't want to be right. I did feel bad for them. But they're not thinking that way for you. They're only thinking about themselves. They're self-absorbed. It's all about what they want, what they can get. And so when they see you going off, when they feel like you're winning, they then feel like they're losing. They feel like they're missing out. And that's not how they want to feel. They want to feel significant. They want to feel relevant. They want to feel powerful and in control. And they're going to do anything they can to make themselves feel that way. Whatever they have to do to you so that they can feel good. And that's why you've got to be very careful. You've got to protect yourself. Because they will come after you. Some of them may try to manipulate you, seduce you, so that they can get back in if they see an opening. Otherwise, they will try to sabotage you in some sort of way. So you do have to be very careful. And even if you think they're not looking, they're not there, they are there. In many cases, it doesn't matter how many years go by, their life revolves around watching you. Doesn't matter if they're married, they've got children, they're still watching you, they're still thinking about you, they're still having fantasies about you. Doesn't matter how old they get. Doesn't matter how long you've been apart. And this is why you got to play it down. You got to act like nothing's good is going on for you. You're still missing them. You're still longing and yearning for them. Act like you haven't moved on. And then they're more likely to leave you alone. They're not going to worry so much about you. 116 live viewers. Give it a thumbs up if you find it helpful so far. Just overlooking this river here. Just simple nature. The tropical trees. And the birds flying in the background. The sun is going to set soon. Also, you can see the mountains in the background there. Let's come over to this side. Yeah, I love these trees. This is the jungle. Let's see what everyone's saying here. Sunken Butterfly says it's a truly beautiful thing to let evil haters go and just keep on giving to those worthy of your kindness. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, you know, so many people, they never heal and they spend their entire lives holding on to their abuser. Well, like with narcissists, they hold on to us. They're victims. And, you know, that's just it. You never actually experience real life until you let go of these things. You've got to let go of these abusers and what happened to you. You've got to let go of it all, and then you can experience life authentically. Because as long as you're holding on to something, you're not really living. And that goes both ways. You holding on to the narcissist holding on to you. Either way, you're not really living. They live vicariously through us, and they try to get us to live vicariously through them. Because they want to live in a false reality. They don't ever want to be awake and aware. Aaron Michael says, what a view. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's pretty simple here. But of course, those of you who are not in tropical countries, it will be quite a view for you to see these trees. I love it. I love these trees. They're just very different to the trees we have in Britain. Sentinel 87 says, very lush jungle. Tiffany Davis says, you are in paradise, Chris. Yeah, I like it. I'm quite happy with it. And the mangrove forest down there, it was all good to me. And especially the beach the other day, I really enjoyed that. But you know, that's how it is for a lot of people, is that, you know, because there's so much trauma, they can't just enjoy like we can. And I'm sure that's how you felt with the narcissist, is that it didn't matter what you did with them. You could travel the world, you could be like me here, overlooking this river with the trees and the sunset. You could take them to a 5-star hotel. You could buy them a fleet of supercars. You could do all of that. They're still not going to be happy. They'll never be happy because they have trauma. So they're always looking for something to be wrong. They can't be satisfied with anything. You could buy a narcissist a fleet of supercars. You could have them all cleaned, all polished. And you get into one of the cars, take it out for the night. They will notice a speck of dust on the windscreen. And that's what they'll be complaining about. After you do all of that for them, it's never going to be enough. They're never going to be happy. It doesn't matter what you do for them. They'll always be miserable. And it seems like they're not happy with anything outside of them. Whether it's the location, the scenery, or maybe they want you to treat them a certain way, respect them, submit to them, let them dominate you. Or maybe they want more money from you. They want more control over something. They will act like that's the problem, when really deep down inside they feel powerless, helpless, and insecure. And that's just it, because happiness comes from within. You've got to feel happy, satisfied with yourself first, before you can feel happy with anything outside of you. And that's why they're never happy. That's why they're never satisfied with anything. And actually, you will notice that the more you do for them, you may have found that the narcissist was happier in the beginning. They were happier before. Before you did all of these wonderful things for them. Before you took them on vacations, you bought them a car, you bought them a house. Before you did all of that for them, they seem to be a lot happier. Because that's just it. The more that you do for them, the happier you try and make them. It just makes them feel worse inside. Because you can make everything look good externally, but then inside they still feel broken. They feel damaged inside. Because they're mentally and emotionally unstable. And that's why you may find, if you take a narcissist to a picture-perfect resort, a 5-star luxury hotel, you take them to a fine dining restaurant, watch how they react. They get crazy, they blow up. Or even just seeing you. Maybe they see you, you make an effort with yourself, you're looking good. Maybe you're wearing a tux, a nice dress. You've done your makeup nice for them. And they're not happy about it. They're even worse. They're even more angry. Because with you looking so perfect, it just makes them feel even worse about themselves. And it reminds them that they don't deserve it. And that's why typically you'll find that after you, they're going to downgrade. They may have had you and you were far greater than what they deserved. And then after that, they downgrade. Who they're with now is nothing compared to you. Nowhere near as attractive, successful, anything. Because at least now they feel more comfortable. They couldn't feel comfortable or happy with you. Because when everything looks good on the outside, when everything is perfect, everything is in harmony, peaceful, tranquil, everything is polished, refined, it just reminds them how broken they feel inside. That's what it does. because they don't feel good about themselves. Hidden Heart So says, it reminds me a little of my home country. I'm from Brazil. You know, I've never actually been to Brazil, but it's not that far away from here. I mean, I think it's just across the Atlantic Ocean. So I'm sure you probably have similar trees. All I really care about is the trees. I just love a good tree. Because back home in Britain, as you may know from my earlier videos, I love going out in the forest and everything. And, you know, these kind of trees are much more interesting. Matt says, trying to make sense of something that doesn't make sense. That's it. Because that's what they have to do. Narcissists have to make sense of things that don't make sense. Because otherwise, when everything makes sense, they're at a disadvantage. The truth and reality is against them. That's why they gaslight you. Because it doesn't favor them. What does favor them is chaos, distortion, craziness. When everything is unclear, everything's all mixed up, it makes them look better. Michelle Luck says they are going to whine no matter what. Because they want to, and the longer you feed them, the more they will eat. Yeah, they're never going to be happy. Especially the covert narcissists, they're always going to find something to complain about. Because of that initial trauma that they can't get over. Feeling neglected or abused in their childhood. They can't move past that. And they can't move past it because now they operate with a false self. They're not even being authentic. They're trying to run away from themselves. So they're always going to complain. They're never going to be happy. The more you do for them, the more you try and make it better, the worse it's going to get. They're never going to be satisfied. I mean, the narcissist is already thinking 10 steps ahead. When they get with you, they're already fantasizing about what their future's going to be like, how they're going to get everything they get, how they're going to have this perfect marriage with you, the perfect children, they're going to be set up for life. They're already thinking 10 steps ahead because they're not satisfied in the present moment. They feel insecure about it. They feel like they're not good enough, so they're seeking control. And so they're looking ahead into the future. I mean, they're looking ahead probably like 100 quadrillion years into the future. And they're just waiting for the Boltzmann brains to come out. If you've heard of that theory about the Boltzmann brains floating in space. You know, because if we live in an infinite universe, eventually anything that can happen will happen. So at some point there's just going to be brains floating around in space. And yeah, they're so insecure, they're so dissatisfied with the present moment. They're probably a quadrillion steps ahead of you, thinking in the future, waiting for the Boltzmann brains to come out. Because they're not happy with the present moment. They just want more and more and more. They become very greedy, very selfish. They're never going to be satisfied because they're not happy with themselves. And that's what this comes down to. Michelle Luck says they will get physical and go on a huge smear campaign. Yeah, they're not going to be happy. They're going to get mad. They see you winning. They see you doing better. They're sore losers. They're not going to be happy for you. They're going to feel like they have to do something to you. They have to affect you in some sort of way to where they can feel like you're losing, they're winning. Because they're children in adult bodies. They're very immature. And they view you as an extension of themselves. They can't let you be separate and happy and feel good about themselves. If you're doing good, if you're happy, they feel miserable. Because their false identity is tied to you. It's based on however you feel or whatever you're doing. They have no separate existence of their own outside of you. It's all attached to you. It's all attached to what's outside of them. There's no independent existence for them. And of course, that's why they like to follow trends. That's how they're very suggestible, they're very gullible. And they try to make that the same for you. They try to manipulate you. Because they're already on that wavelength of being gullible and suggestible and not having a separate, independent existence of their own, having their own autonomy. Narcissists are highly dependent. Some people say they're codependent. They have no separateness of their own. They have no individuality. They act like they're special, but if you look at it, they're all the same. Freddie T says, I'm a Narc Survivor. Just leave ASAP. Don't go through the pain like I did. Yeah, that's good advice. Don't stick around because it doesn't get better. It just gets worse. The more you try and please them and make them happy, it's going to make them even more angry. You try and make everything perfect for them. It just reminds them of how broken they feel inside. Shay says dissociation, escapism, fantastical thinking. Yeah, that's it. It's all idealism and splitting. And it's nothing they can actually manifest into reality. I mean, fair enough. If you're thinking of something and you're actually going to go out and do it, you're going to make it happen, then all right, it's okay to fantasize in those situations if you're actually going to make it a reality. But they never do. It's just idealism, splitting, fantasizing, and nothing ever happens. Because they're fake. Hey, look at this. I see some bananas growing on this tree. It moved out of focus when I put my finger there. But yeah, there's some bananas growing. Sun is setting. All right. There's a lot of comments I haven't read yet. I'm just looking through them now. But I can't respond to them all. But yeah, I hope this advice was helpful for you. On those of you who are thinking about wanting to make them crawl back to you, but I hope it helps you to realise that it's not going to be good if they do come back. They're not going to make anything better for you. They're just going to ruin everything. Because they're going to get very envious and they're going to destroy you. So really, you're better off just playing it down, acting like you're nothing, you're nobody. You haven't moved on, you're still missing them, you still want them back. Just act like you're still just doing the same old thing. Play it down. Drop your ego. Don't feel this need to be important, to be special. Just let it go. You haven't got anything to prove to them. Remind yourself of your worth. And actually, what I would say, you are very valuable. You are very important. If you do get to the point, the level of awakening and awareness where you realize, I don't have to make this person happy. I don't have to be any good for them. I don't have to be special. I don't have to be the prize for them. When you get to that point of realization, you have won. You are valuable. You're not winning by getting them to come back. You're winning when they just leave you alone. When they don't come back, that means you've defeated them. When they realize that they can't play that with you anymore. They can't have their way with you anymore like they used to. When they realize that, you have won. You've defeated the narcissist. As long as they feel like they can come back, they can still have you. You're still stuck with them. You've got to leave them feeling like there's nothing they can do. They can't get you back. They can't have you that way ever again. They're never going to have you in that position, in that situation, in that type of scenario ever again. That means that you have won. That means that you have overcome the addiction. It means that you have realized that you don't need them. So yeah, I hope this advice was helpful for you. And I hope it helps you to realize that you don't need them to crawl back to you. And you're far better off if they just stay away. Anyway, my voice is starting to strain. It gets kind of tough to speak by the end of it. A lot of pressure to perform. But I hope it's good for you. And if it helped you, give it a thumbs up down below. Thank you. Donations are greatly appreciated, no matter how small. You could donate to my PayPal. It's paypal.me/Narc Survivor. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Click all notifications so that you will be notified when I go live again. If you'd like to book a one-on-one coaching session and have a guidance and support on your healing journey, you can book with me on my website. It's narcsurvivor.co.uk. And follow me on Instagram. It's Narc Survivor YouTube. All right. Thank you all for joining me on another Narc Survivor live video. Appreciate you all, and I will talk to you soon.